2015. I was former president or executive director of BSI, and I started as young professional as a mathematician in cryptography, and I think I was the 6th or 7th cryptographers in this agency. It was a secret science, and it started with DAS, it started with RSA, and it was very interesting because we could discuss also with the scientific scenery. Interesting was that it was a secret science because it was natural that not only the key but also the algorithm is secret. It depends that it was used in military and diplomatic environment, and here other intelligence services are interesting. So the philosophy was we have two secrets, the algorithm and the keys. It was also interesting looking at the standardization of the internet, that there were no cryptographic standards. And the reason is that email is open like a postcard, and what is more critical for cybersecurity today is that the who is not decidable. That means that you can forge a sender address, and so we have the problems is that the attackers can act anonymously, and this causes many problems of today attacks, for example, botnets and so on. Since 25 years I'm in the management of BSI, so I'm not a front fighter in cryptography, and for me it's interesting also to learn here some principles. And in my presentation I always say something about what we do in BSI. Long-term security was our mission. And so what were the problems we were confronted with? I start with what was the focus of governmental activities in cryptography. Cryptography is for us a classical discipline on long-lived security technology. We have the principle, like in other advanced countries, mandatory encryption in national classified information. It depends on NATO or EU regulations that we do it, and we have here also in international communication. And this has a long tradition, but not always with the best experience in Germany. The first Zimmermann depeche was solved in the First World War, and it was a mission that Mexico should attack the United States. It was not, in the effect, a good result for the German Kaiserreich. In the Second World War, we had Enigma, well known, and interesting, also Enigma was a long-lived crypto device. The first concept of Enigma was developed in the 20s, and it was a commercial sold device, and so every other country, the Polish, the English, could analyze it, and at the end it was not a good principle. And what our experience was also that in those times it has something to do with German hybris, is that correct, hybris? That there were no re-evaluation of the system. They used it for 20 years and there were no re-evaluation. And for the BSI, it was a fundamental principle that all systems must be re-evaluated, not only in the mathematical context, but also in the technology context. Second, this is classic with tradition of 100 years. And the first president of BSI has an article in a newspaper where he said he have an experience of 100 years governmental cryptography. And the second is more interesting because end-to-end security is in some sense easy to implement. You have two persons and you have distribute the keys, but the bigger challenge is networks. Networks with network routers, with expectation of the users, with all complications of key distribution, and the benefits of the network cannot be restricted by using cryptography. And this is really a problem also with asymmetric key distribution, which takes 1 or 2 seconds delay, which causes 1 or 2 seconds delay, and which must be accepted also by the users. And we started in the diplomatic environment that is classic, that all Germans' information, all diplomatic informations are encrypted, all, classified and not classified. And with the movement of the German government from Bonn to Berlin, we had the strange situation that we have 2 capital centers in Berlin and Bonn. And then there was a need to establish here the so-called Informationsverbund Bonn-Berlin, which was totally encrypted. BSI had the chance to develop the concepts and also to implement the crypto devices, and it was a big benefit for all since Snowden revelation that we did so, that we encrypted all messages. And we use a mixture of end-to-end encryption for higher security levels, but also with so-called transport encryption, also because of the fact that you can't analyze an email or so, or an appendix of an email if it is encrypted. So we have a mixture. We use in the confidential environment, we use end-to-end encryption, but on the lower level of classified information, restricted, we use transport information. I know it is a very fundamental discussion in the political scenery, but also in the academic scenery, but I think the mixture is very important. And last but not least, the special national laws or acts or directives. Here we have in the health sector, energy sector, but also the German identity card are parts where we bring cryptographic principles in the public, to the citizens. That's very important, and is also a question of industry. You must have an industry. You can have the best ideas, but if you have not the industry to produce such system, you have no chance to bring over technology in the industry or even to the government. Governmental networks. Here we have several governments. I just mentioned it. It was diplomatic. It was the EVBB. It was BOS. We have here all security, rescue, fire services all have used the same systems all over the Republic. It takes more than 20 years to establish it. It was like Stuttgart 21. It was a typical German discussion to find the best solution, and it took much time. But the interesting fact here is that security. Is that the cryptography is implemented on a smart card. It costs not more than €7. The real challenge was to prepare the network, also to understand and to accept this smart card. And the real work was, the hard work was here to have the right concept and the implementation of the network also to accept this technology. And here we have different, normally in higher classified areas, we have 1,000, 2,000 to 10,000 devices. Here we have, with the smart card, we have 500,000 users all over the Republic, 500,000. It's a different, and that is the real challenge from starting with BSI 25 years ago. The small community of passionate people working with cryptography, and here bring it to people who are not interested in principle in cryptography. They want to have use a functionable system, but they are not interested in the deep principle of cryptography. Then we have the Bundeswehr, and Bundeswehr is a special case because Bundeswehr use what NATO accepted. And BSI is also responsible, here we are responsible for the security, also cybersecurity. The other cases we are responsible, yes, for that for the security of the crypto devices implemented. And these are always long-lived crypto systems. I say something about the time they must be stable, resilient against attacks. Yes, here, and further for a special act here, you know, with the energy concept of the Federal Republic going away from nuclear plants as first country in the world. Here, smart meters play a role, and the energy sector was not very happy that BSI was responsible in the act to set the security requirements, and here we have two effects. First, in the context of data protection of the people using this, integrity is a challenge. In other case, also the communication must be encrypted because also they cannot be changed. Also, they are in some sense personal secrets. And with this technology, we cooperate with the industry, we cooperate also with the energy sector, and we formulate it in requirements defining products which are certified under control of BSI. Cryptographic requirements, and then we have the control about the process that we also certify the products. That's the special role of BSI. So special acts, impact on special acts is very important also to define security, also to generate a market for such products, which 1,000 crypto devices, you cannot have no impact into the industry. The former main producer was Siemens. From 2000 it was not interested because it's no market interest for Siemens. Then we do it with the e-health card. E-health card in Germany are nearly 60 to 80 million citizens. The most important project we had in the last years under my presidency was the electronic identity document, which is a project for more than 1 billion euros. It's a very important impact. Digital technograph, smart grids, and others. And the first was also the electronic land register. That was the first project in the 90s where we are confronted not only with cryptography, security in transition, but security in rest. There were the challenge to have a system with 5 times redundancy, and also systems. After unification, we had the situation that in West Germany we had landscape registers, but in Eastern Germany we hadn't such one. So we established here a new one, and so there are many. Meanwhile, we have 60 directives, laws in different areas: finance sector, economic sector, traffic sector, where BSI is defining cryptographic standards. And in the effect, the products are certified by BSI. Yes, this is a BSI portfolio. It was handed over by Gerhard Schapphüser. And here you see, that's we are doing for the classical secure systems. These are systems for smartphone communication, but EDAT6Y is a classical ISDN crypto system. And ISDN was developed in the 90s, beginning of 90s, and it will be declassified. In NATO, it is a NATO cryptographic device, and it will be declassified in 2018. That's the dimension of time you use such crypto systems. Xena products, yes, there are 65,000 examples in the field. Not only in Germany, but also in other EU or NATO member states. For example, 10 of 12 new member states in 2005 use German cryptographic devices. Here we have the classical military communication. Here we have everything to do with the identity card. That is the environment we work, and we have here, 100 experts, more or less, and it is not easy to cultivate, to ensure that all these systems are secure. And it is a big effort here to evaluate the systems, to not the cryptographic algorithm itself, but also the environment where they are implemented. Yes, I go over to laws and acts, and the interesting fact is that the starting point with the signature law. We in Germany, like Estonia, Finland, and also Italy, were the first countries establishing, and here we have a different law system. We have not the case law like in the Anglo-Saxon member state. We have here the Roman right, and we're starting with law, and below directive, and then we go to technology. And here, one summer, we are sitting together in 1997 to define a catalog of 308 pages to define the system. The cryptographic kernel were also a single factor, a single point, but defining all the environment, that was really, really a hard thing, all these points. And at the end, there was the effect that the industry said, 380 pages, we are not interested. And there were also a caricature in the Herald Tribune said, if you order in Germany a pizza electronically, then you must first read a book of 380 pages. That was the effect. And so the supervision agency, Bundesnetzagentur, reduced it to 15 pages. But for us, from the academic perspective, it was we get an overview about the problems we address. I think it was a good process for cooperation of all experts in the scientific area, the business area, and BSI as governmental institution. Then, second, I said here it was started in the midst of 2000, 2005, and in 2009 we had the new electronic national identity card, and we were, Finland and Estonia had all these cards, but the US and UK, but also France hesitated to do it because we are depending on the security of smart cards. And in the context of other applications, smart cards is not an easy technology, but we tried it, and the market effect was enormous. Meanwhile, the smart card producers earn third or fourth of their investment by selling these smart cards. And the second effect was that this is not only used for officially for governmental purposes, it's also used in private sector. But here we have the situation that this technology is not so accepted by the commerce side. It's all expectation that we have here technology the business sector use, there is an over expectation. And third, that's the Email Act, and here was the idea that with all uncertainties, with all insecurities of the internet, the idea was we build up, for more security purpose, an internet with security standards. And the Email Act in 2011 was the idea. It was a combination of cryptographic security requirements, standards, but also cybersecurity standards. But we also found a powerful service provider like Deutsche Telekom. But the fruitless discussion about end-to-end security or transportation security leads that it was not accepted. And that's the real problem. I came later on this point that cryptographic devices are not easy to bring over into the commercial landscape. That's a real problem. They use they like to use more commercial versions on consumer level. And here we speak about, although in the context of long-term, long-lived security, we speak about higher security levels. Security which also can be guaranteed in 10 or 20 years. Last is the IDAS regulation of the European Union. It's in progress of the Digital Signature Directive. And here we see that not only electronic identification is regulated, but also trust services for electronic transactions all over the European Union. It is in German, it's a German law since 1st of July. And here we have also the European market for such a solution. That's a positive effect. Negatively for Germany and France is that one of the preconditions is not to certify the products. We as German would have liked it, but also accreditation of the providers, and they can do what they want, what they think. And it was a British impact to do so, not to regulate it on the level we in Germany or France would have liked it. Yes, the BSI activities I will here demonstrate in the context. We have cybersecurity. In the last 10 years, my main job was cybersecurity because of the attacks. And was not only be so happy because we were not creator of solution, we were follower of problems. We have to react on problems and we could not create systems. But there is a close connection between cyber and crypto security, and in some sense there is a contradiction. If you build up crypto systems with end-to-end security in a network, then you have no chance to check emails or appendix where there is malware. That's a problem. Perhaps that could also be a challenge for the scientific sector to harmonize it. I talked with Gerhard Schaphüser and said one of my message would be here to bring it in conceptual way together, like homomorphic cryptology in cloud computing, and so that's also a very interesting thing. We solved it in the way that we say if you have a trustful environment where you have trust to the senders, then we support end-to-end encryption. But in the normal environment, we cannot be secure. For us, transport security, not end-to-end security, is a better way. So what is the legal mandate of BSI and the role in the context of national crypto policy? In Germany, everything what an agency is regulated by an act, by a law. And here we have the clear strategy. We are only responsible for the active IT security, not the intelligence side. And it was underlined by the Krypto-Eckwerte-Beschluss of 1999, where the federal government says we support without any restriction the development and use of strong, secure cryptography. And we are also engaged internationally in working groups where strong cryptography is developed, and it's also my personal opinion. It was a discussion before, and I said, like Aladdin, the ghost was out of the bottle, and it is necessary here to support it. And you know where the intelligence goes, in a different way, not to attack the cryptography, to attack the platform where the cryptography is based on. What are the jobs? We are engaged in standardization working groups. We are also develop and evaluate crypto devices. And a main point is the distribution of key material. If you have diplomatic services in Germany, you must see that here we have all over the world, embassies. And if the distribution of keys, also if there is any error in the device itself, would be a very hard logistic problem. That's practically a very big challenge. So we are also, that is our role in the National Communication Security Agency. We are also National Security Agency, and we are responsible for the accreditation of crypto devices using classified, and we are responsible also for running the National Trust Center. This is really an interesting point. In 2011, the Netherlands, the Dutch Trust Center was attacked. They had a bad cyber protected concept, and the effect was that for several weeks the Dutch government was not be supported by signatures, by keys. Here is a very very hard, very challenging task. Then it's not so interesting. What does it mean? This is an interesting slide. We are responsible that for the federal government, we give recommendation, and we can also decide what they used. And with the Snowden revelation, there were discussion about SSL and TLS, and we ordered that the government has all agency to implement TLS 2.0. Interesting was that also in the Snowden revelation that the investment in cracking or manipulated cryptography, the project Bull Run, the investment, annual investment is, I think, 250 million US dollars. The budget of BSI is $70 billion. And here we see that the US side, that was our experience by analyzing the Snowden revelation, that also the US side, the intelligence side, goes ways which are not very, under the cost analysis, very interesting. And so our quantum resistance computing, also my personal idea is that they invest in this technology here to get solutions. Very important is how long we estimated must live a crypto systems. Normally we say 25 years. In the higher classified region, we have 60 to 90 years until an algorithm will be declassified. We are in the situation that in the 20s, there's a jump in NATO from 128 to 256 bits key length. Here also for the public, we have a prognosis for resilience for the next 7 years. And a very interesting document here is a technical directive, TR 02102, where BSI described what to do in cryptography and how we estimate the development. And it is one of the most interested papers on BSI side. We have 3,000 downloads, and after the IT Grundschutzhandbuch, it is the most interested paper in German industry. What are the current and future challenges? I think we have here the situation that we think in separation and microkernel technology. Both are realized in Zena, the Zena technology. Microkernel technology is not perfect, but the goal here to reduce the code is very important and is one of the crucial points to get secure platforms. The second point, and this was my hardest job here, was to support the national crypto industry. Only the United States have a governmental market which is big enough for a national crypto industry. Here we never succeeded in also getting the industry interested in our national governmental crypto devices. They think in different dimensions. We survived because also other European countries are interested in our technology, and we are very transparent. This is a very here we have 2 or 3 producers. It is the Firma Rode und Schwarz, it's the Firma Secunet, is in Bundesdruckerei. I'm at the supervisory board of the Bundesdruckerei, so I'm involved in this sector today, and I think it's very interested, and it's one of also of discussion in the political arena where we guarantee also for the next year. And it's also the quality of long-lived cryptography also to ensure here that we have national producers, because foreign crypto devices can be stand under crypto export control, and then you must be a heart of full trust to accept trust systems. The next one, quantum computing, is a field of cooperation between BSI and you. Also, the Bundesdruckerei has a project also with this instituted. I think it's very interested, and my personal interest is here to learn to know here more. Okay, then we have here 1 second last, that the awareness is not high enough. We have also here in Internet of Things Industry 4.0, that's a German expression. We have the challenges also to bring over. And also another field area for secure cryptography is critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure here to implement here cryptography on a higher level. And here digital transformation plays in Germany a very hard role that is more concrete. We have 3 waves. We have the automotive industry, logistic, which are in the process. We have in the next way, we have here mechanical plant engineering, electric industry, and we have here that is the volume of investment, and this makes it clear, and this would be to gain this industry, gain the interest of this industry would be very interesting. And here we have also the platforms, also social networks, mobile communication, big data analysis, and cloud. These are the challenges. Yes, last, I will say, because cryptographic is the strongest mechanism to ensure security, it is necessary. There were no way to do it in a different way to guarantee confidentiality and integrity. And here I think it is also, I'm not in the job, but it's the interest of the federal government here to invest in this sector. And it must be a cooperation of the science sector, of the industry, and also of governmental institutions here to bring together to develop concepts, but also to support startups, to support the business sector, and to define also interesting application fields for this technology. Okay, that's my contribution.